Hello, friends. Welcome to another recorded coaching session. I'm your host, Suzanne Kohlberg. Today, I'm being joined by Tish. If this is the first one of these you have watched, you're in for a treat. They're all a treat. And in the video description, because I'm all fancy and technical like now, if you want to do one of these, feel free to fill out the application form and we can book it in. And if what you want to coach on changes from the time you fill in the form to the time we have the session, I don't know what I want for breakfast, for dinner at breakfast time. So sometimes I fill these things in and I meet people later. I'm like, what did I say? So that is totally okay. We're going to, the point of coaching isn't that you're put into a box and we must do it like this. And at the end, we must fly off into the sunset on a unicorn, because that's mystical. It's about like getting really into the weeds. So with all that being said, Tish, welcome to my office. How are you today?
Hello. I'm good. I'm so excited to be here with you.
What's the temperature like for you?
Oh God, I'm like melting right now. So we're actually under a excessive heat advisory.
Oh,
So yeah, it's like if my face and stuff looks red, it's because it's really freaking hot in my office.
I'm going to the States next week. I've never been before. I'm coming from midwinter with my granny blankie and I'm going to pull one off because it's my station. Oh no, they're not my sparkly ones. They're boring. I'm not going to show you those. Normally I have sparkling slippers, but today I've got plain boring ones on. Because it's freezing. So
Yeah, no, it's in my neck of the woods. It's very warm.
well, with that being said, what do you want to work on today? Because we haven't done anything. You got, as I was saying before we hit record for everyone who's here, Tish got the red velvet rope invitation. So I have no idea what it is we're coaching on, and this makes it even more fun for me.
Okay, so I want to talk about, and actually, you may not even be aware of like what I do aside from me skills, because Kelly and I had you on our podcast, but um, and here I said I didn't want to talk about my business, but it's coming up. So, my business is, well, I have my main business, my virtual assistant business with a handful of VIP clients. That's what pays my bills. That is not what I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about what I do at unapologeticallyfat.com. And I'm very opinionated about, the stance that I take about body positivity and fat acceptance and just all that stuff. But I'm really lacking confidence. I'm trying to build up my YouTube channel over there, for that, like that business. And oh gosh, so I pretty much left all other social media because I'd like to say that it was because I chose to purposefully, but it was because the trolls, like just the atrocious things that were said to me because I'm fat. And after like so many people, I call them keyboard warriors, the stranger that is so worried about my quote unquote health when they don't know shit about me. But um, so I left social media because of the trolls. And I was like, oh, but YouTube is like a safe place because I haven't seen that over there. Oh my God. I went down this rabbit trail the last like 3 days, and some of the crap that I have seen from other YouTube creators, they are way freaking worse than the trolls that I was dealing with on other social media. So now I'm like, do I just pull back and freaking not share my message at all? And that makes me sad because I want to share my message, but I'm really lacking the confidence because I'm afraid if I continue to share that I'm just going to attract the fat haters.
Yes. Oh, yes, we can totally go into this. Before we go any further, what's your channel called so I can A, check it out for myself and B, recommend it to people?
Um, so I think it's just Tish Lee. Let me double check. Um, okay, that's not coming up. Why
Find
is
it for
that?
me after and send me through as an
Okay.
email because I'll check it out.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask a question that I know you're dreading, but like we can even talk about why you dread the question because I'm sure you're not the only one. If at the end of this hour you were to walk away and go, this was like brilliant, like what would you like to take away from this time together?
Um,
You may have
and I
already answered
did.
it with, I want to share my message because I like confidence. So like the confidence to share my
Yeah.
message, cha-ching, or is there
Yes.
anything further?
No, it's just walking away feeling more confident and excited to share my message. I've been putting off. So usually I record and do my editing on like Mondays. And I've been putting it off because I'm like, I just don't even want to create a video this week because I'm scared.
100%. It's like the wild, wild west, or, totally unregulated. People on the internet who comment with their username of Bananarama012 and their profile picture of either an anime character, something so highly filtered, was it ever human to begin with, or just their initials. It's kind of like, do I want to take on the feedback from someone who doesn't even have the stones to use their real name and their real picture?
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt. It doesn't mean that it's not just, yeah, there's a whole thing. So where I'm going to begin with this is, if you imagined, like, indulge the fantasy for the next 5 minutes or so, and then we get back to
Okay.
reality, that when you recorded these videos and you hit publish, they reached your intended people. How do you feel about that?
Oh my God, I feel so good and so excited because I've always said since I started doing what I'm doing is that if I can help just either one other plus size woman feel comfortable and confident in her body, then everything that I go through is so worth it.
And as a plus size person, have you always been the unapologetic yes that you are now, or has it taken a journey to get here?
Oh, it's taken a hell of a journey to get here. Yeah.
And the person that you're reaching with your message, whereabouts on their journey to fat acceptance, fat love, whatever term you want to use, are they?
They are, so I kind of have like my ideal avatar, and they are the midlife plus size woman who is fed up with toxic diet culture and the body shaming. And they are ready to do something different in their life and kind of, ditch diet culture, say F you to society's body and beauty standards, and instead just learn to be comfortable in their skin as they are today.
I love that. So they desire that, to be comfortable in their skin as they are
Yeah.
today. But where are they as they're coming across you and you're first talking to them? Like, what do they think or feel about themselves?
Well, they're still so ingrained in diet culture that they still believe that the only way to be loved and accepted and to, quote unquote, be confident and to fit in, just everything revolves around they have to be dieting to lose weight, to be thin.
Yeah. And the reason I asked and want to get really clear on that is not for the avatar interview business marketing thing. Not to knock people who do that. If you're watching this and it's your business, like, you do you. But the reason I want to get clear on that is, when you're posting your videos and they're watching them, the people that you're posting them for, inside, I imagine they're like, she's just like me. She's saying all the things I've wanted to hear. I feel like I belong here. I feel seen. All this stuff. But what are the odds that she's actually going to comment on your video, or maybe even like it?
I don't know. I feel like that's a tough question. I think if I was that woman that found this person back in the journey, well, I don't know, because I would comment, I would interact. But I also have noticed that, like on my blog post and like emails and stuff that I send out, people are more apt to not publicly comment, but they will reach out to me privately. So, yeah.
That's the point I want to make across to you. Do you know what my first niche was?
Mm-mm.
It was called weight loss mindset. I never went with the term weight loss because I never believed you had to lose weight. But then you also have to go SEO, because if you
Yeah.
say things, then people can't find you. So on another day, if you want to get on a Zoom and we can just shoot the shit about that, let's go, because
Oh God,
getting
yes.
pigeonholed into something when I wasn't actually interested in it. Story for another day. This is your coaching, not my gab fest. We could totally go on about that. But the thing is, the people who, and also our client isn't necessarily us. Parts of them are,
Yeah.
but not always. But my imagination, and from my previous niche, which sounds like exactly the kind of people that you're working with, the reason they're too scared is a whole host of reasons, but one of them is, what if they comment and somebody sees it? Then they might be like, how dare you accept yourself? Have you heard of Jenny Craig? I'm worried about your health, or something else. So somebody they know might see it, especially with Facebook. I think Instagram's different, but in Facebook, if you comment, it can come up in someone else's feed because a friend, a mutual, all that to say, they're less likely to comment to that. They don't want to get the haters on trolls going on to them. What do you mean you're okay with your body, you fat, lazy, what? I'm not saying I think like that, but I've been down that rabbit hole. But they're watching it, not necessarily even feeling brave enough to like or comment. But the people who don't agree with you, who are going to tear you down, who whatever, they're very vocal. Never going to
Oh
buy
God, yes.
anything, don't resonate with you, don't connect, but they're vocal. And it's so hard. And then for anyone watching this, if there is somebody that you enjoy, if you're not confident to comment on this stuff publicly, I think it's definitely on YouTube, because I've got a YouTube channel. If you like, we can't see who has liked. They just see the numbers of likes, which helps the things immensely. So shameless plug, like this video if you're enjoying it. But the other thing you could do, if you share it privately, like you watch one of Tish's videos and you're like, this woman is speaking to my soul, and you hit the share and you send it via email or DM to a friend, then that's not tracked either. Because I think it's time for this underground movement of people who really show love and support. Because as much as you messaging Tish or whoever is awesome, that doesn't go beyond the two of you. It doesn't help get her word out there, doesn't help get her message out there. And also, too, can be quite exhausting. Sometimes I get so many messages and I love you all fiercely. I literally don't have the capacity to respond to them all. But if 1/10 of that went into liking or sharing so that more people could find my message, that would exponentially help my business. So the reason I wanted to bring this back is we never know the ripple effect that we're creating. I don't know that I even believe some of the stats sometimes that YouTube tells you about views. And because like one time I had something like 4 views but 5 likes. And I'm like, how does that work? How can more people like the video than have viewed it?
Yeah, that doesn't even add up.
So the math's not mathing there. But if you were like, because when I asked you at the beginning about, you're like, if one person watches this and feels it, then that's worth it. Knowing that you might not necessarily know that, but trusting that, because that could be the difference between, that could alter the trajectory of their life. And I'm not exaggerating that, because having somebody who, as someone personally who's plus sized and been significantly more plus sized than I am currently, and loving all versions of myself, it's something that people don't talk about because they can't, as you said, because trolls and haters come and say, what about your health? And what about this? And what about that? Which they know nothing about, because your physical health is not represented by your size, first off. But what about someone's mental and emotional health when you're basically name calling and shaming them? So all of this to say, what would make you, if we could wave a realistic magic wand, because if I say a realistic magic wand, you're going to be like, I'm going to be rich and living in the Maldives and whatever, which would be nice, but like, realistic magic wand, feel confident and excited to share your message.
Just having that support, where what you were just talking about, even if they just privately share it or email it, just knowing that that message is resonating and touching them.
So do you have a way that you could ask for that in your video, in your show notes, in like, in whatever way you want people to communicate with you, communicate it with them? Like, how would it feel to say in your video, if this is resonating, if this is landing, send me an email or a DM or my contact page, like clearly communicate to them. Because I bet you if you did that, you would be surprised at how many people come out of the woodwork and
Clearly.
say.
I like that idea. So I will do that.
And has anybody messaged you up until now?
Yes.
And what's it like to receive those messages?
It just makes me smile, and it makes me sad because a lot of what they share with me is exactly where I was prior to 2018 when I still hated myself and was engaging in all this toxic diet culture stuff. I have an eating disorder, so I was binging and purging, and just to hear the stories that they share with me, I'm like, oh my God, if I could just wave a magic wand and take that pain away for them. So it makes me happy that they do reach out, and sad because I'm like, oh, but you don't have to live like this anymore.
When the happy part, the parts that make you happy, what is it they're sharing? What is it that they're saying that makes you happy, lights you up?
Just them. So in some roundabout way, it all boils down to you are giving me permission to just take up space as I am. And that, like, that's the whole part of my messaging is you have permission to take up space just as you are, fat and all. So to hear them say that, whether they just come out and say it like that just lights my soul on fire because I'm like, yes, damn it, yes.
So once you've received those messages, what do you do with them?
I just archive them.
How would you feel, and this is just a suggestion, screenshotting it, do you use iPhone?
Yes.
Creating it, do you know how to create an album?
Yes. Yep.
Create an album and call it Nice Things People Say. That's what mine's called. It doesn't matter the name. If that irks you, client love, feedback, whatever. And save them, those screenshots, in that folder. And then if parts of the message make you sad, because when they start relaying their story, just edit it, crop it. This is just for you. It's not to share. So anyone who's going to email Tish, don't panic. It's just for you. But just crop it to the bits that make you feel happy, not ignoring or downplaying the sadness, because that's there too, and there's space for both. So that before you record any video, you open your folder, you pick any message like a lucky dip or a few, and you read those. And then as you're recording your video, who's you're speaking to. You don't have to say, hey, Tammy, who sent me. No.
Yeah.
But you imagine that person on the other side of the screen, that's who you're speaking to. Doesn't mean that you won't get trolls and haters because, that happens. But the loving thing about the internet is that you can bless and block.
Bless and block. Oh God, I love that.
So what I love about YouTube, how YouTube savvy are you?
uh Not very YouTube savvy.
There's
Learning
these
as I go.
little dots on the side. So YouTube is different to Instagram, Facebook. I'm getting into it. It's my goal for this year to monetize my YouTube. So I can't remember the exact wording, but you'll see it when you come to a comment. You could basically you could delete it, or you can. It's another option. You'll see it when it's there. It doesn't delete it, but what it does is it means that no one else can see it. And what I love about this is that person doesn't know that you've deleted them or blocked them. Like you could choose. You could be like, Bananarama 012, you're out. Get out of my lounge room. If I wouldn't let you speak like that in my house, then, but maybe I'm just a bit horrible. But
No.
I choose the option that they can't see. Some people go to town on a lot of my videos and I read them as a sick form of amusement because I just like, why would you waste your time and energy going off on me instead of living your own life? But sometimes it depends on the person. I will bless and block. I'll be like, get out of my house. But the people, depending on where you get to, what I love about it now is, and sometimes I even leave them public. A couple of them have been quite harsh and I've left public. I reply with a clown emoji because, that amuses me greatly.
I think I've seen that on one of your videos.
In the past, this would have cut me to the core. But now I'm like, if the best you can say is that I need to do something about my eyebrows and you can recommend a dog groomer, or don't feed the trolls or your kids must be starving, or things like that, because I do speak to this. I'm like, if that's the best that you can do, that says a lot more about me than it does about you. And I imagine you could get to the stage, but also you got to think about your audience. I'm very selective of what I leave where. Like the trolls and hater comments on the trolls and hater video, I leave them there because it amuses me greatly and it proves my point. But when you're thinking about your ideal person, the people who are writing to you, seeing that sort of stuff might be triggering and activating for them, and you're curating this space for them. So GTFO by either blessing and blocking or making it so no one else can see it. And then if you've got a partner, like my husband's YouTube, sometimes I want to check. So I log in, like I borrow his iPad so I can see, oh, yep, he can't see it because I'm the admin, so I can see it. But then that person can, because the thing is, if they're watching my stuff, then I'm getting watch hours from them. So I don't necessarily want to get them out of there. If they're, and I don't understand that. Why would you hate watch hundreds of hours of people's stuff? But whatever gives you thrills.
To each their own.
Yeah. But if you think about, if you read that comment from that person, imagine that you're speaking just to them, or a younger version of you prior to 2018, who was stuck in the diet culture mentality and thought that you weren't enough as you are. And that authenticity, like there's always going to be horrible people. Birth trauma week is a very big passion of mine. Actually, first week of July, I think it's this week. I have to double check. And I always talk to it. The number of people who leave laughing emojis or say that didn't happen or whatever. And I'm like, like people speaking the truth of their heart can be very activating to people. And that's their journey, not ours. But how we respond to it is within our scope.
I love the idea of taking the screenshot and like editing it just to save the part that makes me happy and saving it to an album and then looking at that and drawing off that energy and that excitement to create a video. And I was already just like looking at the clock. I'm like, oh, when are we going to be done? Because I'm ready to go create a video now.
And getting in that energy is excellent. But if there are days that you're not in that energy, but you want to speak to the heart of how hard it is because you've had a hard encounter or somebody has said something harsh, that can be just as powerful too.
Yeah.
Because you're still speaking to the heart of that person's experience. And whether theirs is different, like I remember basically being kicked off a roller coaster because I was too large, and the absolute shame and humiliation. I see a lot of places now have the seats there so you could test yourself before you queue. And I'm like, that is so brilliant because you've just lined up for 2 hours and been told get off. Some people are polite about it, but some people aren't. And that's crushing. And then I think people speaking to that experience allows things like that to change, because things don't change if people don't speak about it. I remember going to the doctor with a really bad, what ended up being pneumonia, and them not listening to me, just taking my blood pressure and lecturing me about my diet. And I'm like, can we talk about the sickness I'm actually experiencing right now, and people not going to seek medical attention because they're worried about it being segued into, well, if you ate better, you wouldn't get pneumonia. If you ate better, you wouldn't have broken your foot. If you were, speaking to that, because things don't change if we sweep it under the carpet, but because we think we're the only ones, this is the reason we don't talk to it.
Yeah. I love that. I have so many incidences that I can speak to about how I avoided doctors for so long because of pretty similar to what you were saying. You go in with pneumonia and they're telling you, basically lose weight, change your diet, and everything's going to be solved. I have a gazillion of those I can talk about, like just talking about, like when I was really active on TikTok and what it was like to, get on there and see the nasty, comments about you should kill yourself, all because I'm freaking fat. I mean, really? Come on. Like, I'm still a human being. I don't care if you don't like the fact that I'm fat. That's your issue, not mine, but I'm still human. I'm just as worthy as, everybody else. So, like, speaking to the heart of those things, and that's not even something that I thought about when I was kind of brainstorming like topics that I wanted to talk about. So I jotted that down because I think that could be really powerful too.
And at the end of this, what is your ultimate vision? Like, what are you creating this towards?
So my ultimate vision is I want to start doing some body image coaching. I want to speak, and that's like a whole nother thing. Like I have visions of being on stage, like in person events, talking about this stuff. And I'm petrified of public speaking, but that's all ties into showing up and being present and sharing my message, because it's got to get out there for people to see it.
Can you imagine how people would feel? Like we have a big push in society currently towards inclusivity and representation for gender and race and ageism and all whatever sort of stuff. But the thing that seems to be lacking behind is different physical statures. So to have someone who's like, this is me and this is how I am and I'm proud and confident, what that would inspire. Because I know in-person events, like people I've coached who have bought tickets to things, then in the days coming up to it go, well, nothing fits me, or I've gained too much weight, or what will people think? And then just not gone
Yeah.
because of how they look. And it's like, that breaks my heart.
Hmm. So one of the things like we were just talking about, I want to go and create a video because I want to pull from that excitement. So I also want to, so back in 2019, so 2018 was like my turning point. I made a massive move in my life. I mean, I literally moved cross country and I ended up finding the body positivity movement and fat acceptance and everything. And I went to this fat positive yoga class. That night is the night I will never forget it. It was October 2018. The instructor was doing this thing where we were all laying on the floor. She had the lights off, candles lit. And all of a sudden she says, I feel like somebody needs to hear this. You have permission to take up space just as you are, fat and all. And I just start bawling because for the first time in my freaking life, somebody was telling me that I am enough just as I was. So that was the major turning point. 2019 was I call it my coming out moment. And what I mean by that is I stepped out on the stage as a plus size model. And I so specifically remember the very first time because I wore 3 outfits. And oh God, I feel it in my body. Like I come out from behind the curtain and I stand there and I do my pose. And it was literally, I was just like saying, fuck you to the world. I was like, inside, I was like, this is my body. I am beautiful. I am lovable. I am, worthy as I am. And if you don't like it, that's your problem, not mine. So just wanting to pull from I'm just excited, like talking about that because it just, the feeling like, oh my God, like I just want that for every other plus size woman.
Yes. So are you feeling confident and excited to share your message now?
Yes.
We don't need to do the full hour. If our job here is done, we can wrap it now. And I'll ask you, and you can feel free to decline me because I'm the note coach, so I can take a no.
Okay.
If you go make these videos, if you want to come back in like a month or two, then we can do a follow-up. How did you go on that? And what do you want to work on next? Because with coaching, it's not, I don't want anyone to ever think they're going to need coaching for life or coaching is some weird cult or whatever. But we conquer this. Like I can imagine Tish will be like, I recorded all these videos. It was incredible. I published them. Ooh. Something else will come along, not for like, oh, because the thing is, do we want to have the same old problem? You could spin in this, I'm not confident and excited to share my message, so I won't for 6 months or 6 years or your entire life. Or you could do it. And then when the next thing comes along, some people go, oh, see, what was the point? There's always going to be another thing. But I'm always more excited to have a new problem than the same old shit.
I like that.
Again
Yeah.
and again. So if you want to go, we'll jump off now. We'll stop on this recording and I'll just talk to you for a sec before we end up and then come back, like message me in 6 weeks or so and say, okay,
Hell yes. Hell
follow up and
yes.
then we can look what's happening next. Sweet. I love
Yes.
this. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you for joining us, Tish. We're excited to see what happens next and do a part 2. Bye for now.